As you may recall, a few months ago, I typed up a few little reminders for myself about anecdotes that I could tell, and then I chopped up the pieces of paper into little slips, and I can randomly choose an anecdote from the anecdote jar. Why do I do this? Just for my own self-amusement. And it's kind of fun. As an old guy, it's kind of fun to tell stories about things that happened back in the old days, back before there was an internet. Can you believe that there once was not an internet? I'm not going to do that. Cantabile. Here's one of the most interesting coincidences that ever happened to me. This is a true story. When I was in marching band in college, we went to Toledo one weekend for an away game, and the Friday evening before, we stayed with people who were kind enough to let people stay overnight in their homes before going to the game on Saturday. And I stayed with these people whose name was Hall. That's neither here nor there. Their dog's name was Annie. When I told them my name, they said, "Are you any relation to Fred?" And I said, "Fred is my dad." And they said, "Oh my God, really? Fred is your dad?" And they got into their picture albums, their photo albums, and my dad was a friend of theirs. My dad was a friend of theirs, like years ago. And my dad was like in their wedding. So I was just stunned that here's some people that just randomly, we were randomly chosen to stay with various people, and here are some people that actually knew my dad. Okay, the world's biggest coincidence. The biggest coincidence in my life, anyway. Somebody must have waxed that floor. This is from 8th grade. This is from 8th grade, and something I will never forget. We had an orchestra director in 8th grade orchestra, who looked like, I don't want to make fun of her because she was really a very nice person, but she was a tiny little lady, and she looked like the little lady in The Far Side. You know, in The Far Side, when there's like this little lady with the freaky hair and the little cat-eye glasses, you know, that's exactly what she looked like. And one day in 8th grade orchestra, she came trotting up to step upon the podium. She stood on this podium to conduct rehearsals. And that podium, when she put her foot up there, that podium went sliding forward, and she went flying backwards. And of course, this is 8th grade. Everybody laughed. Nobody particularly cared about the fact that she might have hurt herself. Everybody laughed hysterically for about 10 minutes. And then when the laughter was over, she got up and said, "Somebody must have waxed that floor." Okay, anyway. Bitchiness at the Jazz Fest. Yeah, bitchiness. This is one of the big stories of my life. This is one of the big coming-of-age stories. This is a coming-of-age story. One of my very first jobs was working in a little drugstore. This is back in the old days. Back in the days when there were locally run businesses. Okay? Like in my hometown, there were actual locally owned businesses. We didn't have Walmart. You know, we didn't have chains. We had a locally run business. It was the local drugstore. And my job, among other things, was to do the window displays. I guess my art teacher, I guess the reason I got this is because my art teacher recommended me for my aesthetic abilities so that I could like dress the windows in this drugstore. So I got the little perfume displays with the little, you know, the little cardboard setup displays and the like giant bottles of perfume and things like that, and put up in the windows. Okay, it was kind of fun. It was kind of fun. And I worked for this dude. Well, one day he just came up to me and said, I found somebody else to do the windows. Now, this was just, you know, at that time in my life, this was really a devastating thing. I mean, I really felt horrible. I was fired from this job, and, you know, I was just distraught. I was distraught, you know, and I laid in bed and figured my entire life as a creative person was over because Russ hired somebody else to dress his windows. Okay, well, you know, okay, I got over it. Months later, I went to college. I lived in a dorm with these, I don't know why I always have bad luck with roommates, but I lived in this dorm with just hell-raising, worthless people who did a lot of drugs and weren't really interested in studying and all the rest. They weren't even nice-looking people. And there was one particular guy in the dorm, we'll call him Tim. Tim was probably one of the top 10 obnoxious people I've ever met in my entire life. He was one of these people who just had no redeeming qualities. He was loud. He was a drunk. His voice was like a foghorn. Douchebag, arrogant, for no reason to be arrogant. You can imagine the type of person. Anyways, it turns out that he was seeing this girl who happened to be, here's another coincidence. The girl that Tim was seeing happened to be the person who took over the window dressing thing back in high school. Same girl, came to the same college I did. And she is seeing this worthless piece of crap. And you know what my thought was? She'd fuck anybody. And then the little light bulb came on. She'd fuck anybody. There's why I lost the job. That was my introduction to politics, I guess. Debbie do the fourth. Debbie do the fourth. That's Debbie. I don't know why we called her that. Her name was Debbie. We called her Debbie. She was the only groupie that we had when I played in a rock and roll band. We weren't very good, but Debbie liked me. Debbie liked me. Debbie liked me. I didn't notice it though. The drummer liked Debbie, but she didn't notice him. And it actually wasn't until years later, till the drummer told me how much Debbie liked me. That's kind of funny.